Welcome back to TYT Sports, everybody. It's time to get right into our Turks and Jerks. We do it every single Monday morning since the dawn of time. The best and worst of the weekend. Wow. Jerk spelt with a U per Ben Mankiewicz's request because it's funny, because it's not how you spell jerk. I once did JURKS. I was yelled at. That was 3 years ago. Rick, your Turk of the weekend.
Well, first, let's get into who many of you who follow us on Twitter, we put out a tweet. Just simply, who are your Turks and Jerks of the weekend? So here's what we had. TYT's own Emma Vigeland said the jerks are Ben McAdoo, Ben McAdoo, Ben McAdoo, and also Ben McAdoo. So 4 Ben McAdoos. Going out on a limb there. Her Turks are the Saints' physical defense. See, here we got to show Emma the ropes. She has 3 Turks.
Yeah, she gets it.
Case Keenum and Sean McVay.
Yes.
All right, so
that's a veteran of Turks and Jerks. You're supposed to come in with 1, and you come in with like 5.
Yeah,
that's a Ben Michael Schur move.
Jason Rubin replied the U.
Yeah, with Malik Brown, I think it is, with the turnover chain.
And
we're gonna get way more into that later.
Sure. And thanks Gilbert. If no one picks Marquise Goodwin for all-time Turk, you've all failed. Well done. Scored a long touchdown in the 49ers' first win of the season. First win of the season, he unfortunately lost his
an infant son, if you will. It was a premature birth. It's really sad, but he lost him at 4 a.m. that morning, and he played. And
he scored a touchdown, and he was emotional when he reached the end zone. Yeah. TJ Phillips says the Browns running the ball with 10 seconds left in the half and no timeouts. That's most jerk. Browns move ever. Yeah. Yes, a complete jerk. So I agree with that. All right, let's start on a positive note.
Turks.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, for one thing, you could say 2 things. It happened in 2 separate games. When they were beating the shit out of the Ravens in London, they ran a fake punt. And I believe it was, Corey Grant, 58 yards against Baltimore.
She did.
It could maybe go hand in hand with the Chargers being a half jerk of the weekend, not only for their awful play down the stretch in that game that simply would never end.
They were up 2 scores. They were up by a score.
They were up by twice, a score, yes.
With under like 3 minutes remaining.
Correct.
That's like ESPN's favorability index would be like, you have a 99.9999998% chance of winning.
Right, right. And then, of course, as we all know, they lost.
Chargers.
The Jaguars ran a fake punt against Baltimore in London. The London Jaguars, ran a second fake punt against the Chargers, and Corey Grant actually scored this time.
Straight up Madden status, which I'm 100% in favor for.
Bill Raftery would call this onions.
Onions, yes,
I would simply say big balls, which is the definition of onions.
Which is the definition.
You don't run the same fake play twice in the same season, except when you're the London Jaguars.
I'd run it twice in the same game. If it worked once in a game, I would run it again, especially if I'm going against like the Chargers or the Browns. Like at that point, just get away with what you can.
Or the Niners. But yes, the Jacksonville Jaguars with their fake punt for a touchdown. It was awesome. It was entertaining, and also the Chargers really bad on special teams. So the Turk is the fake punt.
That's the Chargers. They'll finish with like the 5th most points for in the NFL
because of Phillip Rivers, and they're losing
and not make the playoffs. Like, very Chargers. I'll run through the Rams wide receivers and Sean McVay. Sean McVay is 31 years old, and is the definition of I am a youngin' in an older fraternity of coaches, and he very much came in unconventional with his style of play, and he immediately turned around the Rams franchise. They are undefeated on the road, which is so important because if they had an actual home field advantage where a team, like where the people of the state actually cared, or the city actually cared about the team being there, it would make them even bigger of a threat. So when they do get their own stadium and eventually over enough time, Sean McVay could literally coach the team for 40 years if he's good enough, and he still wouldn't be as old as, I don't know, how old's Belichick? Is he in his like mid-60s now? He's getting up there.
I think he's about 60.
Yeah, I mean, like McVay would be 71. About 60? Yeah, Coughlin was like in his late 60s when he retired.
He was down in the front office with the Jaguars.
Yeah, we'll take him back on the Giants if we can. The Rams wide receiver, Robert Woods with 622 yards in the season and 4 touchdowns. Todd Gurley as a receiving back with 406 yards and 3 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp and Sammy Watkins combined for roughly 750 and 7 touchdowns. Jared Goff is obviously the real deal. That's a lot in part because Sean McVay put actual weapons around him and these gems, these Cooper Kupps, these diamonds in the rough that you didn't think. Robert Woods signed his contract for like $32 million and it was kind of surprising. McVay knew what he wanted, went out and got those pieces because he had a plan. He stuck to it, and look how well it's worked out for him. The Rams are the real deal and one of the 4 best teams in the NFL right now.
Going forward, or further rather with that, it's also the stench of Jeff Fisher no longer being inflicted upon Jared Goff.
How dare you say the stench of Jeff
Todd
Fisher?
Gurley.
If you want to go 7-9,
have you smelled his mustache?
If you want to go 7-9,
have you smelled his mustache?
You call Jeff Fisher. If you want to be painfully mediocre, get by. You go 7-9.
Right. If you want to be in that position where you don't draft in the top 10, but you don't make the playoffs, Jeff Fisher's your guy. Yeah, exactly.
Jeff Fisher's probably great for mediating political debates at Thanksgiving dinner table. Can you give us an example? Oh, I don't know. I feel like if he's constantly
I'll get both sides. Ready? I'll get both sides.
I don't know. I think it just would be like there's always racist.
Donald Trump is amazing. No, you're crazy. Donald Trump is terrible. Jeff Fisher goes.
I think Jeff Fisher goes, well, I think you're both right. I just feel like about 1% of me wants to lean towards the terrible side, aka 7-9. I'm about 48.5% of the way there. That is Jeff Fisher in a nutshell.
Who's your jerk?
We don't have too much time. Case Keenum was my jerk. Why? Because he played good enough. Because Teddy Bridgewater was back on the sideline. He was very emotional. We have a picture we could throw to. He was crying out of happiness, he said.
Yes.
He lost his job the worst way possible.
Tissues or sad tissues?
Happy tissues. They were happy tissues.
Forgetting something.
And look, I mean, Bridgewater lost his job the most painful way possible because, for one, there was an injury, so literally it was painful, but figuratively, he didn't deserve to lose his job.
Young, entering his prime.
Yeah, now that he's back, you got to kind of root for Case Keenum to suck. So 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, like. Very Eli Manning of Case Keenum. Very Eli Manning about 3 years ago. 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. Like that's what we're looking at. So I hope that I was almost hoping that he was so bad down the stretch that they lost the game. So next week they'd be like, "Look, Teddy, we got to give you your shot back. Give it to Bridgewater." That's it. I'm done.
I don't understand why he could be your Turk, but he was good, but it was bad.
No. Case Keenum was my jerk.
Oh, Case Keenum was your jerk.
For being good enough.
I thought that was your 1A.
He's my jerk for being good enough.
My apologies for misunderstanding.
I wanted to come out and chuck like 7 picks.
Right. Yeah. which could happen. I think he had 5 with the Rams.
Yeah.
Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher.
7-9.
Attributing to that. Also, bad coaching. Jeff Fisher no longer there in the fraternity of head coaches. But one of the dumbest challenges we have ever seen in National Football League history came in the Bears and Packers game. Everyone knows it by now. I'm a Bears fan. They got the main TV treatment while the Red Zone got the computer treatment.
Right.
However, Benny Cunningham, another former Ram.
I was going to say it's another 7. And not just a former Ram, a 7-9 Ram.
Yes, a 7-9 Ram. So he is running down the sideline. And we believe to be gets taken down, and the ball hits the pylon, but the refs rule him down at the 1 yard line, probably inside the 1 yard line. And what would have happened is the Bears would have had a 1st and goal from inside the 1 yard line. John Fox is like, "Oh, that's not happening."
We're going to challenge the play.
And he challenges the play. And they go and review it because he thought that Benny Cunningham scored. But actually what happened was Benny Cunningham had the ball in his hand. It went sideways. It came out of his hand, went into the pylon. And by rule, it is a fumble ruled touchback.
Yep. Which is the dumbest fucking rule.
And the Packers get the ball. Regardless of it being a dumb rule or not a dumb rule, which, again, I think it is. But the rule is the rule. John Fox, as a head coach, who once he has been succeeded in Denver and Carolina, actually went on to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Argued with the ref with his 95 packs of wintergreen gum.
Oh. Yeah,
and is screaming at the referee. And then the Packers get the ball, and what do you know? The Bears lost that game. Probably could have used that touchdown in order to beat the Brett Hundley Packers. John Fox, all time. Like you can default to that one
That's
play,
an all-timer.
and he will be the jerk of the week.
Challenging that play is an all-timer. Hence why we gave the turnover chain to John Fox, which we can also throw in there. So, by the way, the turnover chain was from Miami defeating Notre Dame 43-8 or 41-8. I'm sorry. And my God, is that just a beautiful thing to watch happen? I don't hate Notre Dame football. I hate them in the same way.
I hate Notre Dame football.
I'll make this extremely quick. I hate them in the same way like Duke. Like I respect that they're good when they are good. I just always believe that like as a nation we should root against them. And look, you need villains. They're absolutely instrumental to making sports more exciting. And that was an awesome game in itself. The Hurricanes are undefeated and they look like the 2001 Hurricanes.